Hey, what's up? Today is Monday, the 10th of June 2024. Around an hour now, I completed my fourth flight lesson, and it went very well. But in terms of mentality, I felt like it was one step forward and then two steps back, and I'm gonna explain that right now. So in today's lesson, we reviewed slow flight, reviewed power off stalls, which I've improved on. So we also began our introduction into steep turns. Now, the weather was not that nice today. It was not pretty gusty. It wasn't incredibly gusty, but it was around 17 knots at the airport. So you can only imagine how much more it would have been in the air. But other than that, there was a lot of clouds again in the training area, but we were able to find a little pocket of clear space we could have used. However, that didn't last long, because after a couple of maneuvers, we ended up having to return early, around 0.1 of an hour early, because the clouds just completely took over the training area at our altitude of 3,000 feet. So we'd have to be below 3,000 feet, and that wouldn't have given us enough clearance to safely practice the maneuvers. But once again, ground operations went well. The takeoff went well. En route to the training area went well. I was performing to the standard, so I'm very happy that I'm consistently able to perform like that. And now with the radio communications, as I mentioned in the previous lesson, I'm going to start taking over radio communications, And today I did the first call all the way up to the last call, where it was with tower, approach, even on Unicom, and then back again. It was all done by me, with only one call done by my instructor on Unicom, and it was just to update the area that were still there. But other than that, every other call was made by me. It all went well. I'm very proud of that. Executed that to the standard, and once again I said that making the radio calls is one of the things I look forward to the most. So just getting to do it already, all the calls, and it's my fourth flight. I'm very happy, and that just means there's plenty of more flights to go where I can key that mic and put on my transmission voice. But when we did the maneuvers now, we reviewed slow flight, that went well. We reviewed power off stalls, as simple as I watched a couple of videos over the weekend, did some practice on the simulator, and now coming back into the plane, everything makes sense, and I was able to get that gentle dip during the actual stall, and then of course I recovered as I'm supposed to. The only thing I need to remember is that I need to ensure that I'm in climb attitude as soon as possible. So I can't, if I'm on approach and then I stall, and then I recover everything, but I'm still not, climbing away, then that's just a danger, because I'm close to the ground. I need to make sure I'm getting away from the ground. So that's the one feedback I would have when it came to my stall recovery. Make sure I'm getting that positive climb as soon as possible. But other than that, the big issue now was the introduction to steep turns. Now, a steep turn is when you are banking the aircraft at anything past 45 degrees of bank. And if I remember correctly, that is a load factor of 1.5. Around the load factor of 1.5 or 1.4 something, because I know for sure 60 degrees is 2 times the load factor. And that load factor is essentially how much G's is being enacted on the aircraft. So that was the first time I ever had to experience. That was the first time I ever experienced G's that high. And what can I tell? I'll tell you. In the seat, you feel like you're being pushed down. My head is heavy, my body is heavy, and I'm looking at my instructor, and he's just there casually looking around as if he was flying at wings level. And I don't even want to move my head. I felt that if I shifted my head at even a millimeter, that it would have just exploded because of all the pressure I was feeling on me. So leading up, I knew that the steep turns would have definitely been very I know the steep turns would have made me a little worried, and I allowed that worry to fester, and ultimately it got me shaking. I was genuinely shaking leading up to my instructor's demonstration, and when I experienced the G's for the first time and realized I could not move my head, I was like, yep, this is very, very something. It was very frightening for me. And it's a shame because right now, if I think of all the things I would have to learn in terms of my entire aviation career, maneuvers like that, that's definitely the most frightening, because that's when you actually feel you actually have to get more exposure, so you're normalized to that kind of G's, that kind of that force on your body, because you're not going to. It's literally the only thing you cannot practice. You cannot practice a real world situation where you could get those G's on your body unless I was in a centrifugal. A centrifugal tunnel, or whatever the machine is to, that the fighter pilots use to induce those higher G's. I don't even want to imagine how those G's feel, and I'm here struggling with the 1 point something, because other than leading up to this, the most G's I've experienced was when I was racing go-karts, and I'd be sending the kart into corners at speed. So that's the most amount of G's I've ever felt. So it's definitely a learning curve. I don't know what else to say. I just need to get more exposure. I need to get more exposure, and remember that it's mind over matter. I just have to remind myself that constantly, because I won't say lost it, but I was not ready to take back the controls. I just know I need to do better next time, and be braver next time as well, because I was asked if I wanted to try, but the way I was shaking, I just said, I don't know, sir, I don't know. And by the time that happened, it was almost time to go back, but we still could have do more stalls. But unfortunately, the weather had just taken over. As I mentioned earlier, the clouds were completely at the flight level that we would have been practicing with the stalls at. So eventually we had to just return slightly early, but due to the winds, we had a very strong headwind coming back, so it took us a while to get back. So it rounded up to however long the flight lesson would have lasted anyway. But boy, I just need to, this is just part of the journey. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and right now my downs is definitely maneuvers. I'm just thinking of what else is there to go through, and maneuvers, the steep turn and the power on stall will definitely be the biggest shock. But I can't just the more I fear it like this, and I put it into speech, that the more it's going to actually have control, the more it's going to actually make me afraid. So I just need to remember, mind over matter. That's going to be my crutch going through this. That's going to be what I have to remember, mind over matter. So I just have to pray. I have to pray on it, pray for strength, and pray for bravery, because I know this is something I want to do. And while there might be a couple hiccups, I can't make it stop me. I cannot make it stop me. But other than that, now coming back into landing, I took the power out a little too fast, so that's the only feedback I noted there. But other than that, everything went smoothly, and going forward, I just need to make sure that I lock in, make sure I'm as brave as possible, so I can get through these maneuvers and get on to the rest of my flight training. Once again, I'm so grateful and blessed to have this opportunity, and I want to make sure I can document and share it with you, because I know there are a lot of Jamaicans in this country, because I know there are a lot of Jamaicans who may have an interest in aviation, but really and truly there isn't much documentation out there in terms of actual persons documenting their own journey and talking about it on YouTube, like how you have multiple YouTube pilots overseas and everything. So anything I can do to just give back and share and just answer questions. Don't be afraid to ask any questions. I just want to be able to do my part and share, carry along on my journey. But thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to subscribe, leave me any comments, any feedback, let me know. My name is Robert Watson. Remember to always be improving. I'll see you again very soon. God bless.
Yeah. I only tell you the truth. I ain't got nothing to lose. Yeah, I gave my life to God and I'm still ballin'. Ain't nobody that can tell me I ain't all in. Late at night I hear the devil steady calling me. That's when I pray to the Father that He give me strength to fight these monsters.